Want to take a bath together? What? A bath? What are you thinking? Of course, that's not okay. Why? Why do you say it's not okay? Do I even need to say why? It's obviously not okay. Do you hate taking a bath with me? What? Well, I don't mind, I guess. See? And it's not weird for families to bathe together, right? I froze in shock at our daughter's unexpected words. While I was paralyzed, my husband took our daughter by the hand and went to the bath. My husband and daughter get along well, and sometimes they even sleep in the same bed. It's not bad for a family to be close, but this feels wrong. Also, something else has been bothering me. Our daughter, now 15, is right in the midst of puberty. She's not rebellious but is a good and obedient girl. However, her expression is always gloomy. I've worried about illness, but since she suddenly got so chubby that her uniform doesn't fit, it seems it's not an illness. With so much on my mind, I've been feeling uneasy these days. My unease was quickly resolved by a single phone call. What? We're fine here. Who was that? What? Oh, it was a nuisance call, asking if we're interested in investments. Who listens to such suspicious offers nowadays, right? While he laughed it off as just a nuisance call, his expression was strained. His face was pale. So, I guess I should head to work soon. What? That's early today. Yeah, I have a lot of reservations, so I thought I'd prepare more. Usually, he would have lunch before going to work. But he rushed out of the house as if he were fleeing something. Later, I would learn that the call was from child services. Upon learning why they called, my anger started to boil. And I felt I could crush the phone receiver in my hand. I will never forgive anyone who hurts my precious daughter. I am Angela, a 42-year-old ordinary office worker. My husband, Sam, is 1 year older than me and works in a restaurant. Our daughter, Christina, is 15 and until now, we have lived happily as a family of 3. However, now that our daughter is in her teenage years, our family relationship is in a delicate phase. Dad, take a bath first thing when you get home. Sitting on the sofa without bathing is just unthinkable. I'm tired. I'll rest a bit and then take a bath. Seriously, that's unbelievable. The sofa will rot. Upon arriving home exhausted from work, our daughter didn't greet her father but instead lashed out at him. This has become a familiar scene lately. When my husband heads to the bath, our daughter sprays deodorizer on the sofa with a sour face. Feeling sorry for my husband, I decided to intervene a bit. Your dad is working hard. Be a bit nicer to him. Why are you so cold to your dad? I just can't stand him on a visceral level. Our daughter speaks normally to me. She is only cold towards her father, without any apparent reason. I've experienced it myself. Daughters can unconditionally dislike their fathers sometimes. I feel sorry for all the fathers with daughters out there. But it's not that there are no fathers who get along with their daughters. There are such men around my husband, and he often listens to their stories. My colleague's daughter is 14, but she has no problem going out just with her dad. If it were us, it would just be a flat no. There's no easy solution to this. Maybe just avoid being hated too much and wait for puberty to pass. No, apparently it's not like that. My colleague mentioned some specific points he's conscious of to get along with his daughter. I'm thinking of trying them out. My husband looked confident. Having seen a successful example, he believes he can do it. I think it's not that simple, but if it helps him get closer to our daughter, that's for the best. I decided to watch and see what he would do. First, he tackled his clothing. His work clothes consist of denim and a black shirt, and he wears a bandana and an apron at work. Unlike coveralls or suits, my husband's work clothes are similar to casual wear denim, and a black shirt making it comfortable to wear even on his days off. However, realizing this was inappropriate, he stopped wearing his work clothes outside of work and began buying regular clothes. Additionally, working in a restaurant means he inevitably ends up smelling like food at the end of the day. Therefore, he has stepped up his efforts in body odor control. According to what he heard from a coworker, maintaining a regular life rhythm is also crucial. Oh, you're up quite early today, aren't you? I've decided to start waking up at the same time as you too. Is that okay with you working so late at night? It's fine. Make sure to give me the same breakfast as well. It was unusual for my husband to be around in the morning. His job usually has him coming home late, starting in the mid-afternoon. So he was often still asleep when I would go to work and Christina would go to school. However, this situation seemed to reduce communication with the family, possibly giving Christina the impression that he was always sleeping in. Therefore, he started waking up early to have breakfast with us. He has made various other efforts as well. Despite his best efforts, I hope that my husband might be able to get along with our daughter. Gross. Reality is harsh. Our daughter dismisses her father's efforts to bond with her as creepy and heads off to school. I worried that this might have broken his spirit. Is this still not good enough? What else can I do? Maybe I should listen again. He mutters as if he's talking to a slice of bread. Yet, his spirit seems unbroken. Seeing my husband's earnest efforts, I decide not just to watch but to help. Indeed, it's best for parents and children to get along well. Let's try a little harder. I'll help you. Here, thanks. I'll do my best to be a good parent and child. My husband, energized, bites into the bread that he had been talking to as if it were his confidant. At that moment, I had no idea that his efforts and determination would soon take such an unbelievable turn. We, as a couple, decided to execute a plan to improve our daughter's fondness for her father. The first thing I did was to get along better with my husband. It seems that children can improve their dislike for their fathers by seeing their mothers get along with them. Honey, I'll prepare some drinks for your evening relaxation, so go take a bath first. Okay, I always feel bad about this. What are you talking about? You always come back from work late and tired, so this is the least I can do. Our daughter watches our conversation in the kitchen from the living room. As my husband heads to the bath, our daughter looks at me as if she wants to say something. What? What's up? You've been really nice to Dad lately. Did something happen? It's just as usual. Maybe you just haven't seen us talking because you've been avoiding Dad. I see. This seems to be effective. Although our daughter used to avoid even being near her father, she has started observing his actions. Also, I gather information about her surroundings to help her when she and her father do talk. By the way, I heard there's a kid in your grade who got caught shoplifting. Do you know them? Well, they're in the same grade, so I know them. but we've never been in the same class, and I barely talk to them. I see. Just make sure you don't do something like that. I would never do that. I know. Just saying it just in case. If the shoplifting kid had been a close friend, it would have been a sensitive topic that needed careful discussion. But that doesn't seem necessary. I'll tell my husband about it later. My husband and I continue our diligent efforts cooperatively. Thanks to our efforts, the relationship between my husband and daughter improved. Are you going to watch TV? Wait a sec, I'll move from the kitchen chair. It's okay, you can sit on the sofa with me. Really? Is that okay? Of course, it's okay. Besides, it's troublesome to move the drinks and snacks, right? Oh, do we have any drinks? Should I get some from the fridge? Our daughter talks to her father with a smile. Moreover, she's going to the fridge in the living room to get drinks for her father. I never thought such a miracle would happen. While I am happy, I am also curious about why our daughter changed so suddenly. Perhaps puberty is a time when emotions can shift quickly, and our efforts may have drastically influenced her feelings. I'd rather keep thinking that way, as it feels better. The two are sitting on the sofa watching TV, and my husband occasionally glances over at me in the kitchen with a smug expression. His look is boastful, although it's a bit annoying. My husband looks happy because he has worked hard and it has paid off, so I'll accept it. I thought this meant we could now live happily as a family of 3 again. But soon a strange phenomenon began. Christina, I bought some cream puffs from the store. We'll eat them together, right? Yeah, I'll eat. Our daughter no longer avoids her husband. However, her bright expression from before is gone. What's wrong? Are you feeling ill? Not really. It's just that eating cream puffs at night might make me gain weight. So I'll save it for tomorrow. I see. I'll put them in the fridge then. Yeah, thank you. Our daughter retreated to her room. Her attitude toward me and my husband hasn't changed. But it concerns me that only her expression remains dark. Hey, Christina has been acting strangely lately. Have you heard anything? I've heard she's having some troubles at school. Maybe that's what it is. Christina has troubles. Hasn't she told you? It's hard for me to tell you something she hasn't mentioned. I'm the only one who doesn't know. Well, I think she'll talk to you about it eventually. Wait for her to come to you. Until then, let me handle it. I'm hit with a feeling of both satisfaction and dissatisfaction at my husband's words. But given how he's recently gotten close with our daughter, I guess it's okay to leave it to him. As instructed by my husband, I decide to wait for our daughter to come to me. Then, I'll go talk to Christina now. My husband places 2 cream puffs and a juice on a tray. With the tray in hand, he gives me a smug look before heading to our daughter's room. Shortly after he leaves the living room, I hear the door slam shut. It seems he was allowed into our daughter's room successfully. Given the times she has criticized him for sitting on the sofa, this progress is remarkable. Conversely, I have not been able to discuss any concerns with our daughter. It seems the roles between my husband and me have reversed. There's nothing I can do now since she hasn't confided in me. I decided to quietly take a bath and go to bed. The next day, a small commotion occurred at our home. When I woke up in the morning, my husband was not in the bed next to me. He has started waking up early, so I thought he might already be up and headed to the living room. However, he was not there. Nor was he in the bathroom. As I wondered where he could be, I heard the sound of our daughter's room door opening. Since our daughter was talking with him last night, she might know something. Christina, do you know where your dad is? Wait, what? I'm here. Where have you been? I was in Christina's room. We were talking last night, and she became anxious as we talked, and asked me to stay with her. Christina, is that so? Yes, it's embarrassing, like something a child would say. But I felt anxious and couldn't sleep alone. Please don't say anything else. Our daughter prepared for school without eating breakfast and quickly left. Her expression remained dark, so although my husband listened to her, it seems her concerns were not resolved. Her worries concern me, but there are other things to be concerned about now. You know, even if Christina felt anxious, I think sleeping together is questionable. She is already 15 after all. I understand, but she looked so anxious yesterday. And when she asked me with tears in her eyes to stay, I couldn't refuse. And, did that resolve her concerns? No, not yet. So, she might not be able to sleep alone sometimes. Are you planning to sleep together whenever she asks? Do you expect me to leave Christina alone when she's seeking help because she's anxious? All right. If you say it's necessary to sleep together, I'll concede 100 steps. But can you sleep in our bedroom instead of Christina's? Okay. I think I'm worrying unnecessarily. However, I thought it wasn't good to let my husband and daughter sleep alone together without any precaution. So I suggested a compromise that all three of us sleep together. From then on, about once every 3 days, our daughter would come to our bedroom. And she and my husband would sleep in the same bed. I don't know what worries she has. But I understand they are not the kind of worries that can be resolved just by sleeping together. Good morning. Breakfast is ready. Thank you. After a while, her expression remained gloomy. Also, her attitude towards me and my husband was still honest. Only her expression was gloomy, so I suspected she might be unwell. But there was no sign of decreased appetite. In fact, she had recently gained enough weight that her uniform didn't fit. So it seems unlikely to be an illness. The only concern might be her increasingly rough skin. Have you gained some weight? Your skin is rough too. Have you been eating only sweets? Oh, maybe you had a heartbreak. I intended to make a joke to dispel the gloomy atmosphere around our daughter. But it seems I crossed a line. She threw her barely touched slice of bread down and left for school. That was probably not the right thing to say. It seems I have even misjudged the distance with our daughter. I muttered to the slice of bread like my husband once did, fully realizing that our roles had completely reversed. Then, as if to add insult to injury, my husband suggested something unbelievable. Christina, shall we take a bath together? What? A bath? While I was washing dishes, I almost dropped the plate I was holding. I had already conceded 100 steps by allowing them to sleep in the same futon. But taking a bath together, how many steps would that require? I definitely had to stop this. What are you thinking? That's definitely not okay. Why can't Christina and I take a bath if you say it's not okay? I understand if Christina says no, but why you? Do I need to say why? It's obviously not okay. Christina, do you mind taking a bath with me? Oh, I don't mind, I guess. See, Christina and I are close. Plus, it's not that strange for a family to bathe together, right? I was taken aback by our daughter's unexpected words and went into shock. My mind seemed to be thinking and yet not thinking, in a state of panic. Before I could gather my thoughts, my husband had taken Christina by the hand and headed to the bathroom. The sound of the shower came from the bathroom. Our daughter said it was fine to bathe with her father, but I sat on the living room sofa, holding my head, wondering if this was really okay. After a few minutes of panic, I began to regain a bit of composure. Upon reflection, this was indeed not okay. You know, this really isn't acceptable. Please don't bathe with Christina anymore. What? But she said it was okay. Even if Christina says it's okay, it's not okay. All right, no need to shout. After getting out of the bath, my husband came back to the living room, wiping his head with a towel. Our daughter didn't come to the living room but went straight to her room instead. I told my husband firmly that he was no longer allowed to bathe with our daughter, not leaving room for debate. He looked reluctant, but seeing the anger on my face, he understood and agreed. Then, a few days later, on a Saturday, today is my day off, and Sam will be going to work in the afternoon. Inside our house, it's the usual scene with me and Christina spending the holiday at home, and Sam, who has started waking up early. On such an ordinary and mundane morning, a phone call came in. I'll get it. You keep folding the laundry. He answered the phone. It's not unusual for us to receive calls, or for him to answer them. However, what follows is a slightly unusual turn of events. What? We're fine here. He raised his voice a bit and quickly hung up. The house was quiet, so his loud voice startled me, and I flinched slightly. Who was that? What? Oh, it was just a nuisance call. Something about investing. Who listens to such suspicious offers nowadays, right? He was laughing, but his expression was strained. His face was pale. Well, I guess I should head to work soon. What? Already? You're early today. Yay, we have a lot of reservations, so I thought I'd do some extra prep. Normally, he would have lunch before going to work, but today, he rushed out as if he were running from something. The next day, Sunday, I have a day off again, and Sam is going to work in the afternoon. Our daughter is off from school too, and the same scene as yesterday unfolds in our home. Again, around the same time as yesterday, the phone rang. So, we're fine, okay. Please stop calling. He shouted into the phone and hung up quickly. The house was quiet, so his loud voice startled me, and I accidentally dropped the laundry I was folding. Who was that? The same place as yesterday. Another nuisance call. His complexion was worse than yesterday. It was as pale as could be. I was clearly worried about him. You look pale. Are you okay? Was it really just a nuisance call? I said it was. I told them not to call again, so it's fine. Again, he rushed out of the house as if running from our conversation. If it really was just a nuisance call, merely shouting to stop calling wouldn't be enough. I suspected the phone would ring again. Each time the phone rang, Sam's behavior became more erratic. So I decided I would answer it next time. However, from that point on, the nuisance calls ceased. Though I found it strange, if it was a nuisance call, it was better that it didn't come. And if no calls came, then Sam wouldn't act strangely, so I decided to forget about the phone. A week after the strange calls started, an envelope arrived in the afternoon. The sender was the Child Services Office. Inside, it mentioned something about an investigation. I shuddered slightly as I thought of the unpleasant scenes of Sam and our daughter sleeping in the same bed and sharing a bath, which I had put a stop to quickly. Perhaps someone who heard Sam boasting about how close he was with Christina contacted Child Services. However, our daughter herself had come into Sam's bed. And the bath happened only once before I put an end to it. Additionally, I intended to stop them from sleeping together once our daughter's issues were resolved. I was concerned about the nature of Sam and our daughter's relationship. But since both seemed to consent to it, I didn't think there was a need for Child Services to intervene. Initially, I assumed it was about them, but it could have been a general inquiry unrelated to them. There was also a chance it was a mistake that it was sent to us. Regardless of the reason, it seemed wise to contact them. I called the Child Services nonchalantly, thinking it wasn't a serious matter. But I was informed of an appalling truth by the person in charge. As I listened, anger began to bubble inside me. And I found myself gripping the phone so tightly I thought I might crush it. I would never forgive anyone who hurt my precious daughter. On the night I called Child Services, our daughter and I sat on the living room sofa, waiting for Sam to come home. Her face was set with determination, ready to confront whatever came. This must be hard for her. But I needed her to be strong just this once. I'm home. Bought some cupcakes from the store. Let's eat together, shall we? Unaware of anything, Sam returned home as usual. I glared at him. The atmosphere created by our daughter and me must have given him a clue about the situation. Because instead of heading to the usual spot on the living room sofa, he went to the kitchen and placed the cupcakes he had bought on the dining table. What's with that scary face? Don't worry, I got your cupcakes too. He was smiling, but his expression was clearly forced. He seemed to understand the situation but didn't want to face the reality. I couldn't blame him for wanting to look away from reality, but that wasn't acceptable. I forced him to face the reality. Everything's out in the open now. Everything. Yes, everything you did to Christina. And even after Child Services started calling because of it, you blocked their number to stop their calls. Sam checked my expression and then our daughter's. Realizing he couldn't talk his way out of this, he collapsed right there. I already knew everything that Sam had done to our daughter from her and Child Services. But I needed to hear it from him too. It all started with Christina's friend getting caught shoplifting, didn't it? Yeah, when Mom told me about it, I said I'd never really spoken to the kid who got caught, but actually, we were friends. And then, your friend told you it would be bad if they got caught again. So they asked you to shoplift instead? Yes, and then I got caught by the store staff. I really think it was a stupid thing to do now. Our daughter's voice is trembling. At 15, she's still immature in some ways. And it seems she made a mistake in how she handled her friendship. I think it must be hard for her to talk about this, given that she has already reflected on it. But for the sake of having a discussion with Sam and to reaffirm her own wrongdoing, I hope she can endure it this one time. Christina got caught shoplifting at the store, and they called home, right? It happened on a weekday at the store on the way to school. I had already gone to work, so you answered the call from the store and went to apologize, right? Yo, that's right. I went to the store, apologized, and asked them not to contact the police or the school. Then, the store people somehow agreed to forgive. That part is fine, but the problem starts from there, doesn't it? Can you explain it yourself? I wanted Christina to think well of me, so I decided to keep the shoplifting a secret from you too. It became our little secret, and we acted as if the shoplifting never happened. And then, Christina started to thank you and treated you with a smile. Hearing the truth from my husband's mouth, my head starts to hurt. I'm not particularly confident in my parenting, but I understand that what my husband did is something you should never do when raising a child. However, our daughter is also very much at fault for what has happened so far. But from here on, I think the blame lies entirely with my husband. You got carried away because Christina started treating you with a smile, didn't you? Now, say with your own mouth what you did to Christina. I told her, if she didn't listen to me, I would tell you and the school about the shoplifting. So you blackmailed your own daughter to sleep with you and take baths together. I can't believe it. Christina's expression darkens as she recalls sharing a bed and taking a bath with her father. It's the same expression I've seen on her face recently. Our daughter couldn't defy her father because he had something over her, and she became compliant. What appeared to be a close relationship between father and daughter was a facade, and she was actually feeling great stress. Also, the stress had physical effects on her. Do you understand how much Christina has suffered? She has developed polycystic ovary syndrome. What? That's a disease? Yes. Christina developed the illness because of the severe stress you caused her. But it doesn't look like it. Sam is shocked to hear that our daughter is sick, but he is the cause. I want him to feel fully responsible, though I don't want his concern. Like my husband, I initially didn't believe that our daughter was sick. We thought she wasn't ill because of her sudden weight gain. Our daughter had suddenly gained enough weight that her uniform didn't fit anymore. But it wasn't because she was overeating. Polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, appears to be a condition where the follicles meant to protect the eggs stop growing midway, leaving numerous small follicles in the ovaries. It's said to occur due to hormonal imbalances. And it seems Christina developed this disease due to the immense stress she received from Sam, which disrupted her hormonal balance. The primary symptoms of this disease are irregular menstrual cycles and infertility. But it also seems to make one prone to gaining weight and having skin issues. When did you go to the hospital? Today. I called because we received a letter from Child Services. Probably there have been similar cases. When I discussed Christina's condition, the person in charge suggested that it would be good to have her checked at a hospital. That's right, Child Services. I bragged to others about getting along well with Christina, but I never told anyone about sleeping together or bathing together. You learned about it for the first time from the letter, right? Who contacted them? It was me. What? You did it yourself? I wanted to escape from being controlled by Dad, but because of the shoplifting, I couldn't talk to Mom about it. I felt like I couldn't discuss it with anyone. So I called child services myself. They told me that I should first talk honestly to Mom about the shoplifting. But I couldn't bring myself to say it. Christina couldn't say it herself. So it seems she arranged for someone from child services to speak for her. That's why they were calling on the weekends when I was home. But you answered the call and even set our phone to block any further calls from child services. Doing that is just shooting yourself in the foot. What were you thinking? Well, no matter how you look at it, it's good for parents and children to get along. And fundamentally, it's Christina's fault for shoplifting. Don't say such absurd things. It's wrong for Christina to have shoplifted. But that's also our responsibility as parents. We need to ensure that if our child does something wrong, she must properly atone and reflect on her actions. My anger reached its limit with Sam's completely misguided remarks. Continuing this marriage seemed impossible. I want a divorce. Wait, divorce? Why? You know why. After all the pain you've caused, Christina. Do you expect us to continue as a happy family? Can you please pack your things and leave? Sam stood up weakly and then left the house. Subsequently, my husband and I divorced. I reported to child services that we had divorced, that I had custody of Christina, and that my ex-husband was ordered to stay away from her. I thought that the issue with child services would be resolved with these measures. But it turned out not to be so simple. The ex-husband used to make close physical contact with our daughter while sleeping, and had our daughter wash him during baths. This was reported to the police as potentially constituting sexual abuse. As a result, my husband was arrested, although he was ultimately not prosecuted. The fact that he was arrested for sexual abuse has had a significant impact. He wasn't fired from his job, but naturally, the reactions from those around him turned cold. Unable to continue working in such an environment, he quit his job. Perhaps seeking a place where no one knew him, he eventually disappeared. As long as I receive child support each month, I don't care where he is or what he's doing. As long as he stays away from us. I suppose I will never see my ex-husband again. My daughter has reflected on her shoplifting. She is now seriously focused on her exam studies. Seeing her sincere remorse, I believe she will be all right going forward. Her health has also improved now that the source of stress, her father's presence, has been removed. She is still taking medication, but she is on the road to recovery. This ordeal has shown me my own shortcomings. If I had noticed the changes in my daughter sooner, I could have resolved the situation earlier. Now, as a single mother, I cannot afford such oversights. I've realized my inadequacies as a mother, and am determined to think more about my daughter's needs and live better for her going forward.